everyone, so this video is going to be a book review, just saying that right off the bat. The last video that I made was an unboxing video, and that was like a week or two ago, and I'm not making as many videos as I have wanted to this summer, which is not like I'm going to. I have like so many videos that I want to do, and I've said them before, and like I'm gonna do this one and this one, and I like haven't because I'm just a lazy butt. But anyways, yeah. So the Raven Boys, book 1 of the Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I read this. I loved it. So we're gonna talk about it. I heard of this book like when it came out, and I thought it was. Sorry, my mascara like hits my glasses and it's so annoying. But I heard of this book when it came out, and I thought it sounded super interesting, but I never picked it up. And so recently, I got it. I don't know why I got it. It was like on sale or something. And I have since bought the entire series, so I have to marathon them all. But yeah, so I finished this book a couple weeks ago, and I've given it, to start off, a 4 out of 5 stars. 4, and I will explain. So this book is about a girl. You know, I'm not very good at synopsises, so like I might put something in the description if you want to see, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, I mean, you've all heard of this book. The first 200 pages of this book, the first half of the book, was a little bit slow for me. I like kept kind of pushing myself to read it, and I'm like, I've heard this book is amazing, like, when is it gonna get amazing? And it was, do not get me wrong, but up until a certain part in the middle of the book, I was a little bit, I wasn't bored, but it was just slow because like not much was happening. But yeah, in the middle of the book is when Gansey and his like squad go to Blue's house and they get their reading. And so from then on, I was hooked. I like loved every minute of it. So as I finished this book, I kind of realized that Ronan Lynch is and will probably continue to be my favorite character, and I understand that he's like a very popular character within the series, and I'm starting to understand why. I have started The Dream Thieves, and I read the first 5 pages of it because I have another book that was sent to me to review, which was like amazeballs, and so I'm going to put up a review for that on the 31st, next Tuesday, so look forward to that. But yeah, anyway, so I know that Ronan is a really popular character, and I have it right here. The second book in the series, there's 4. This is like, that's him, or that's supposed to be him, and so like it focuses a lot on him, and I know that there's a relationship with him and another character that I'm like dying to get to. And so if you've seen any of my other reviews, the way I kind of do it is I do a lot of tabby tabs in my books as I read. I started doing this since I started doing this channel. But yeah, so I kind of just go through every single tab and like just discuss like what I kind of noted on there. Oh my god, okay, and then the first thing just to say, I wrote here, I'm like, I could not figure out what these 3 lines, they kept talking about word, because you know the ley lines, how it's like 3 and it like makes a triangle. Yeah, there's a part where they actually show like what it looks like, and I just could not figure out what it was until I saw it, and it's right where it's not there. It's right there. It's right there. And it's right there in the back, and every single chapter, it's right there. And so like I did not connect the dots because I just So the first thing on page 25 is a character description of Adam, and I believe it's Gansey, and he's saying he was a sepia photograph, and it's a simple line, but it like has depth to it. I don't know. A sepia is not black and white. It's kind of, and it's not really brown. It's like, you know what a sepia picture looks like. And so I thought that was a very interesting way to describe a person, and that like kind of stuck with me, and I don't know why. So the next thing was another description, and this was of Gansey's journal, and it said, I will read it out so that you can be reminded. There were so many of the clippings she'd noticed before. Oh, this is when Blue finds it. There were so many of the clippings she'd noticed before that the journal wouldn't stay book-shaped unless tied shut with leather wrappings. Pages and pages were devoted to these ripped and scissored excerpts, and there was an undeniable tactile pleasure to browsing. Blue ran her fingers over the varied surfaces, creamy, thick artist paper with the slender, elegant font, thin browning paper with spidery serif, slick utilitarian white stock with an artless modern type, ragged edge newspaper in a brittle shade of yellow. And I absolutely love detailed descriptions like that, and so I could just see the book, and it was a very lovely description of a journal, and I just very much liked that paragraph. Alright, and then naturally you go on Tumblr and you see stuff about like popular books and stuff, and so there's a big thing about Adam and his Coca-Cola shirt, and so I just made a note here that like I had reached this point and I was gonna wear it because I have one, or I did, but I can't find it, and I have one that I was gonna wear for this video, but I don't know where it is. I probably wore it when I was like 8 or something, and I'm remembering wrong, and I just don't have it anymore. But yeah, there's one part on page 191, and that was just funny. It reminded me, okay, it's when Adam and Blue are talking, and Blue tells Adam, she's like, I think you're pretty, and it reminded me of that one scene in New Moon, Twilight's New Moon, the movie. I don't remember if it was in the book too, but I distinctly remember the movie. And it's when Bella like falls off that motorcycle and Jacob comes running and she's like, you're kind of beautiful. And it reminded me of that. I don't know why. Okay, and so then on page 202, at this point, after the reading, I believe, yeah, and what's it called? This is when stuff gets interesting, because in the beginning of the book, Blue and her like half aunt, that woman, they go to, my reviews are super rambling, super all over the place, so I apologize. But in the beginning, Blue goes to the you know, the cemetery place, the road, and she sees a young man, and so according to like the legend of this town, if you see someone, they're going to die within the next year. And there's always a thing with Blue that she is that if she kisses a boy, if she kisses a guy, that she's either going to fall in love with him or she's going to kill him. And so this is like a thing within the entire book, and I'm sure it's going to be within the entire series. And so yeah, she sees him, and at the same time that she sees him, she learns his name. And then Gansey, which is the boy. Okay, and then Gansey, so if you've read the book, you know that he's looking for Glendower, something like that. And so he like is super stubborn in finding this like ancient king, and so he like is constantly searching, and one day he hears in a voice recorder, he hears Blue's voice. And so at this point in the book on page 202, they recognize Blue's voice as the one that came through that recorder. And so at this point it's like, oh, they know, and she knows, and like things are gonna get interesting. Oh yeah, and then on page 205 I do a note, I'm like, ley lines, that's what they look like. Alright, so then there's another funny part on page 207, because you know, we know that the Raven Boys squad is like Gansey, who's kind of like the leader, Ronan, who's like the troubled bad boy who like has family issues with his brother, and he's like still grieving and like dealing with his father's death and all that. And so Ronan is like kind of troubled. Adam, he lives in an abusive family. His father is very abusive, and his mom, like, she doesn't really do anything because she can't really. And so he's just trying his hardest. He's poor, and he got into the school, the private school, on a scholarship. So he's not like rich, but he's very stubborn also, and he like he has a very interesting relationship with Gansey, because Gansey is kind of like the leader, like I said, but Adam doesn't really like that. Like, he loves Gansey, but he doesn't want to like do anything that Gansey says. Like, Gansey knows that he's in this abusive household, and so he's constantly telling him, oh, because they all live in this like this big building, and so he's like, dude, come like live with me. And Adam's like, no, if I'm gonna leave, I'm going to leave on my own terms. I'm not gonna be helped. And he's very adamant about that. And then Noah, he's like the other boy who's kind of quiet, and he is just another part of the foursome of the group. And we learned a very interesting thing later on about Noah, and so that was fascinating, and I did not see that coming at all. Anyway, so there's I've heard spoilers about, spoiler alert for like future books if you have not read them like I have, but I have been spoiled. And apparently there's going to be a relationship that grows between Ronan and Adam, which I am dying to get to because it's going to be amazing. But there's like a hint, there's a subtle hint on page 207. And Ronan, they're talking about something, and Ronan's like, I'm always straight. And Adam replied, oh man, that's the biggest lie you've ever told. So I'm just like, what do you mean by that? So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Ronan's Ronan's, more of his story, more of like his mind in the next book, because he's a very complex and interesting character. They're all very, like, with one book you've already seen like multiple layers, or we've seen the layers, but we haven't dived into the layers of all these different characters. And so I'm like super excited to like learn more about them, because they all seem super complex and interesting, and I need to widen my vocabulary. There's another quote here on page 223 that I really like also, and it's Blue and Gansey, and they're doing something. And oh yeah, it's when they go to the forest over there and they do stuff. And she's like, oh, she recognized the strange happiness that came from loving something without knowing why you did. That strange happiness that was something so big that it felt like sadness. It was the way she felt when she looked at the stars. And I was just like, I like that quote. I like that quote. Okay, so they get into this forest. It's like a magical forest. Like when they see the fish and it like changes colors or something like that. And so then there's a tree. They go to that tree, and Blue goes into the tree and she has a vision. The vision is she's standing with Gansey, and he's telling her, he's like, oh, it'll be okay, and it's like it's a very sad vision, like he's about to die, and she's like longing for him. And at this point, she doesn't love Gansey. She's actually interested in Adam. And it's funny because there's a part later on. No, next book, never mind. But she's interested in Adam, but everybody's telling her that yeah, Gansey, that's the guy that you're gonna love or kill or something like that. And so she's like, knows this already, but she doesn't know Gansey. Like, she's not in love with him, and yet, at least. So yeah, this vision that Blue has, I'm like, oh my god, is this like what's gonna happen in the last book? Like, because you know, the 4 books, they take over the place of the year until like he's supposed to die or not. And so like, is that going to be the final scene in like the Raven King or something? I don't know. We need to read. I need to read and find out. And then so Gansey goes into the same tree, and when he comes out, he looks very troubled, and they're like, bro, what happened? And he's like, I saw Glendower. And so I'm like, is this tree, I wrote it, I'm like, is this some twisted tree trunk version of the Mirror of Arise? The sun is starting to go down, so let me try. It's like already getting dark. But yeah, like I was saying, it kind of fast forwards when about their friendship. We don't get to see like every little like friend date that they go on. Like with at one point, Gansey's like, let's go for yogurt. It kind of speeds through, and I wrote, I'm like, I like how their friendship with Blue was written. It was kind of just told to the reader so that the next time they all met, which is right now, was like chill. They're like friends, and they've been friends for a while. And so like, even though we didn't really get to see that develop, we still get to see it with it now, like how they're interacting with each other and how they're like talking to each other, playing around. And it's just, I like that. I like that kind of fast forwarding. Perfect example, on the next page, there's like, they bundled into the car with the comfort of routine. So it's like they've been doing this for a while already. They've been looking for Glendower and all that good stuff. Alright, so then 245, this is the part where it's the trees speak Latin. The arbores loquicatine. I took Latin for 2 years in high school, and all I remember is senex, and I think that means old man, and that all the C's sound like k. So obviously learned a lot. Alright, so then on page 268, I have a note here that this is the first time that Blue and Gansey have kind of been alone together, and he tells her about the bees. And oh, okay, and so the bees thing, that like right away it leads into more. It leads into the reason why he is looking for Glendower. And so Gansey tells Blue why he's looking for him, and it's basically because like Gansey was stung many times when he was young, and he thought he was gonna die, but that he somehow heard, what did he say? He's like, you will live because of Glendower. Someone else on the ley line is dying when they should not, and so you will live, and so you will live when you should not. And so that's like, whoa, what do you mean by that? I still feel that there's more to it, and I don't know what, and I don't know why, but I feel like there's more of a reason to it, and that we might figure that out later. Okay, so then there's a very crazy part on page 274. And it's the same scene, and Gansey and Blue are like walking along, and they stumble across a dead body. And so they go to it, and the face on the driver's license was Noah's. Noah, their friend Noah, their alive friend Noah that they had been living with, is dead. So I'm like, what? So the last like bit of pages here, like a lot of crazy stuff happens. So they go, and then Noah There's another man, there's another character that I haven't brought up, and he's one of the teachers at the school. He's like the Latin teacher, I think, or something. I forgot. But he was also looking for Glendower when he was a student. He's now in his 20s, but when he was a student, he was also looking for Glendower, and there's a sacrifice that needs to come with like finding him along the ley lines or something like that. So he killed his best friend, and his best friend was Noah. So Noah has been a ghost of like a 16-year-old for I don't know how many years, and that's who he is. Okay, and then there's a part after that, before everything gets crazy, where Ronan is like failing out of school, not because he's not smart, he just doesn't want to be there. And so Ronan calls the headmaster, principal, somebody important within the school, and he basically convinces them that, you know, I will get Ronan to study and I will get him to pass his test so that he can stay in the school. Oh my goodness, and then probably one of my favorite parts of this entire story is when Adam goes back to his house. Ronan drops him off, and he comes back late or something, and so his father is like waiting for him. So he gets out of the car, tells Ronan like to leave. Adam goes to his house, and his father starts beating him, and it was so hard to read. And so at one point Adam is like trying, he's not really fighting back, he doesn't fight back to his father, but at one point Ronan shows back up and starts beating his father, and like his mom calls the cops, and Ronan came back to protect Adam, and I just thought that was like so it shows so much about Ronan's character. Oh, okay, and then later on we learn about Blue's father. He hadn't even been mentioned really until this point, and so his name is Artemis, and we find out that he never left. He like disappeared, like something happened to him. So him and, you know, Blue's mom, they were together and they had Blue, and he kind of like disappeared. So that's like a big part of the story that we hadn't really got to either. Okay, and then we get to that big part at the end, the big hubbubaloo, where Welk dies. He gets like trampled, and Adam kind of lets it happen, and so that happens. So that's like a sacrifice. So I don't know what consequence, sorry, it was like, I don't know what consequences that's going to have in the future. I'm sure there's going to be some major consequences for that. There has to be another sacrifice in the future. I don't know if it's going to be Gansey. I hope it's not Gansey, because I know that they're going to make me fall in love with him more in the rest of the books. Okay, and so at this point, I was so sad. Alright, it's the second to last page, 407, and it's when they finally, you know, Noah's body is finally buried and his family is grieving, and they're at the funeral, and so Blue goes up to Noah's family because Noah's besides her and is like, can you go tell them something for me? And so she goes and she says, Mrs. Cherney, he's sorry for drinking your birthday schnapps. And it's like for a moment there was silence. Mr. Cherney and Noah's sisters looked from Blue to Noah's mother. Noah's father opened his mouth, and then Mrs. Cherney started to cry. And at this point, it was crazy because they're saying that the mom, she hadn't been crying, but when Blue went up to her and told her that she started like sobbing. So I'm like, what does that mean? I want to know what that means. Like, what is the significance of what Noah just asked Blue to tell his family? And I feel like that we're gonna know that later, but I want to know what that means. Okay, and then page 408, last page, last thing. I guess now would be a good time to tell you, he said, I took Chainsaw out of my dreams. That was Ronan, last line in the book. So I'm like, what? I have no idea what that means. I finished the book and I'm like, what are you talking about? You took him out of your dreams, like literally, figuratively? And so I started reading the Dream Thieves, and it's like apparently literally. So I don't know what part that's going to play in the next book, in the next series, in Ronan's character, period. I'm very excited to uncover all of these things. I really need to read these books. I'm such a lazy reader. I love to read. I will sit for hours and read, but it's like, I don't. It's weird. I'm weird. But yeah, so that was that book. Very interesting. The storyline was not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like some kind, not dystopian, but like beautiful creatures, like with all that magic and whatnot, but it wasn't. And so that was very, it was a nice surprise. So I'm very excited to see where the rest of the story goes. 4 out of 5 stars. 4 out of 5 just because the first 200 pages for me were a little bit slow. But other than that, I absolutely adored it. I really love these characters. I like I said, I'm super excited to keep reading about them. Yeah, I'm super late to the Raven Boys party, so I'm sure a lot of you have already read this. Please leave any comments down below. I think like if you would like to see me do any videos in the future, I plan to do like a Civil War review. I keep saying this, a K-pop video that I want to make. I actually might do like a bookshelf tour. I have so many bookshelves all over my room. My like top 10 favorite books. and other stuff. I don't know yet. I have the Document Your Life. I have one for May that I'm like putting together right now. But yeah, please leave any comments down below. Let's discuss the book. Let's talk about future books, other TV, whatever you want. Just leave a comment down below and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye!